Annyeonghaseyo, Ryan Walters here along with Matthew Binns. We're a little upset, but we'll talk about that. Korea's national football team tonight lost 3-1 in their send-off match down in Jeonju, in a performance that was, in a lot of ways, the polar opposite of the one that we saw them put in Daegu against Honduras, where the warm-up midweek, they came out, they were in a 4-4-2, they were playing some attacking football, they were high-pressing, they were entertaining. Tonight's match was not quite the same. I feel like I know the answer to this already, but Matthew, where did it go wrong tonight?
Well, yeah, I think you've just touched on it there. Manager Shin Tae-yong does love himself back three. He played a 3-5-2 tonight. It's a formation that's not worked for him, but he persists with it, and he decided to use the last opportunity for Korea to get the nation behind the team. You've got the country playing on home soil, going off to play in a really tough group. They could do with all the support they could get, and he plays a horrendous formation that he refused to change, which makes it even worse. It's not just the fact it failed, it's the fact that by the end of the 90 minutes we were still looking at the same formation. And that's it. He refused to change. He showed how stubborn he was, and the manager is mostly to blame for this defeat. Yeah,
and I think, and we'll obviously touch on the tactical side of things, the personnel side of things, but I think just looking at this, as you said, from a perspective of getting the fan base involved, it's Friday night. It's a gorgeous Friday night here in Seoul. There were people out for the watch party at City Hall. Tons of people outside. 48 Shades of Football was there if you're looking for any pictures from it. It's a party atmosphere. Give them something to celebrate.
Over 1 million people on the the official Naver stream tonight, and God knows how many watching on TV as well.
And a full house in Jeonju. The stadium looked great. It's just one of those situations of, obviously there's a lot more at play than just
read the audience.
Yes, there's more to it than just getting the fans involved. But at some point, you gotta give them something to cheer about, because at the end of the day, this is a friendly. These results don't matter. That's important to keep in mind. But if you're not going to at least test out alternative options, which you could argue the three-man back line is an alternative option, and they did test that, and he did test that in the first half, but it failed, and he didn't change it. So if you're not going to go that route, then at least entertain the home fans.
Yeah, but also he's tested this before. He's tested it in October. It didn't work. He tested it in November. It didn't work. He tested it at the EAFF East Asian Championships. It didn't work for that one game against North Korea. It was... He insists it's the way forward for this team, and the personnel don't know how to play it. It's too complicated for the players, and that's it. The 4-4-2, not only is it effective, it's simple. Everybody in that team knows the role they are playing, and maybe it won't be enough to stop. It won't be enough to keep out Germany. It might not be enough to keep out Mexico, but the three-man backline is certainly not enough to keep out anyone.
No. I mean, not the way they played tonight. And I think the bigger thing is, and to just jump fully into this three-man backline, it's not allowing any of Korea's players to play in their strongest position. Lee Jae-sung had a nice run out in the center of the pitch tonight, but you can do that with a four-man backline. You can play a 4-3-3 with him in an attacking role. You can play 4-4-2 diamond. There are a ton of options to keep him in the center of the pitch, or Lee Sung-woo, who came on with maybe 10 minutes left in the match tonight. Had a strong showing in the first game, provides a spark, provides a lot of running, and comes in extremely late in this one. Not as late as Kim Shin-wook, who came on with maybe 4 minutes to go in the match.
There was no...
But we'll talk about substitutions in a minute. Clearly we're a touch riled after this one. But I think it doesn't allow the players that are out on the pitch to play in any of their stronger positions, and to just bring this one out right away. Ki Sung-young is absolutely wasted tonight. Absolutely wasted. He can play center back, sure, but why? Why would you put him there?
He's more of a defensive midfielder, but he's more of a deep lying kind of playmaker. He kind of sits there and plays the passes through to the attack, and you're playing him that far back. what's the point? It's amateur stuff, especially when Korea's got about up team centre backs on their bench. Why are you playing a defensive midfielder at centre back? What is your plan? It's just, I just think this was done to try and justify his methods tonight. This was just done. Look, I can win with the 3-back, and rather than gauge the mood, rather than gauge the crowd, rather than even just seeing what works. If a 4-4-2 is working, consolidate that. Yeah. Play it again. Make sure it's better to have a winning formation than having, a backup that doesn't work. What's the point of having a backup that doesn't work? Well, anyway.
Well, and we've touched on this a little bit, and to play devil's advocate for a minute, and I don't necessarily fully believe this, but this could be a strategy of this. This is a very watched game from opposition. He could be playing a bit of poker, a bit of chess, whatever analogy you want to use. He could be showing the opposition, no, I'm really tied to this 3-man backline, which, let's face it, he is. But I suppose the opportunist side of that would be that he's doing this to try to play some head games with the opposition. But if he comes out with a 3-man backline against Bolivia, it's going to be a mess, and it's not going to go well.
Yeah, I'm sure Germany was watching. Obviously they're such a professional outfit, but at the same time, it just beggars belief. But it beggars belief what he's doing. I don't get it. I don't get why he can't see what a million billion, what the whole country can see, and that is it doesn't work. It doesn't. There's nothing about it that is working. It's a naturally a possession-based kind of formation.
Right.
You're going to outpossess Germany. Are you going to outpossess Sweden? Are you going to outpossess Mexico? It's what I said before in the pre-match, and you can't outpossess Bosnia and Herzegovina. And it's just, what's the point? What's the point in doing this? Well, I don't. I'm sorry. It's just.
I think again for me the main thing is that it doesn't allow the players to play in their strongest positions. But more than that, I think, and look, you're not going to high press Germany.
No.
I mean, maybe you are, but I don't think it's necessarily the wisest thing in the world. But we saw that high press work really well against Honduras. And again, that Honduras team that came out wasn't at their strongest, blah, 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 blah. But there were things that were working there. And that allowed the players on the field to shine in their positions. That was a system that worked for the players that were out there. And it was just completely abandoned. And because of that, the 3-man backline, as we've talked about so many times with K-League matches and with the national team, it becomes a 5-man backline too often. And that happened a lot again tonight, but with a lack of communication and just so much space in behind, All 3 goals were wide open.
Yeah.
All 3 goals wide open, clear shot,
Well, it's the same, it was a hat-trick.
Yes. I mean, you could say that Kim Sung-gyu could have done better on some of them, but I'm not going to fault him for those. No. I don't really think it's on the keeper.
But Edin Visca got a hat-trick playing in the same position for the whole match, down the right, exposed it time and time again. Yeah. Now, who do you blame for that? Do you blame the centre-back who's coming across and not communicating with his left-back who's Kim Min-woo? But Kim Min-woo is attacking like you'd imagine the manager would want him to.
Right.
It's just... The players don't know what they're doing in that formation, and I think that's the biggest issue with it all. There is merits to a 3-5-2.
Sure.
I think if Korea are capable of playing in a 3-5-2, then you should explore that option. And what also should be said is this is the 28-man squad. He has to give as many of the 28 as he can a run out to show that they should be in the 23-man squad. Otherwise, if none of those 28 men are capable of being in the 23, then why pick them in the first place? So, I guess they've all got to demonstrate their worth, but demonstrate it in a formation that you're intending to play. Anyway, I think we're going to go on a lot about the formation here, but I just don't think that they've got the personnel to do it. That's all.
And that was showed tonight. I think tonight's obviously a disappointment. But at the end of the day, it is just a friendly. You are just trying to figure things out, and hopefully, the hope coming out of this is that Shin Tae-young and the Korean national team have figured out that this does not work.
Yeah.
We'll see it again. But we've been here before. Like you said, we've been here before. We were here in the fall, and we're here again just weeks before the World Cup. Hopefully they figure this out and they don't do it going forward. But I think, well, let's switch to some of the positives here, because there were a few. I thought he had a blunder in the second half, but I thought Young again looked really good out on the right wing. I thought he was finding himself open quite a bit, and was able to hold the ball up well, and just was that attacking spark that you would expect from somewhere else on the pitch. But when he was given the opportunity, he did quite well being the fulcrum of the attack.
Yeah, I think he replicated his club form. I think he does that job very well for John Book. He does a lot of overlapping, but he also, his crosses are what feeds Kim Shin-uk, who often plays it on for a second ball for somebody else to score into the back of the net. But he is one of John Book's main supply lines, especially with Kim Jin-soo injured, as long as he has been. And he replicated that tonight on the national stage. I think he's got a really good cross on him. He's still got a bit of pace about him. He can get up and down the channel. He's always back in time. And it's telling that none of the goals came from that. Although I guess some of the crosses did, we could argue. But yeah.
Yeah, but not quite like that left side.
Not quite like that left side. So I think he had a very good performance. He did have that one blunder in the second half, but I think there's not many people who had much better games than him tonight.
No. We're scraping that barrel trying to look for some of the positives. Sticking with Jeonbuk, and there's another Jeonbuk player that I want to talk about after this, but sticking with Jeonbuk, I think Lee Jae-sung had a really strong night. I think, and again, this is why it was a little bit disappointing that so much of the focus was out on the wings for Korea tonight, because in the center of the pitch they've had Lee Sang-woo, who looked really good there last game. They had Lee Jae-sung, who looked really good there tonight, and both young, dynamic, attacking midfielders that can be another goal-scoring option, and they've both proven that. And I think Lee Jae-sung definitely made that claim tonight.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we mentioned in the pre-match video, but it's where he plays for the club. He plays for it week in, week out. He plays central attacking midfielder behind the strikers, and I thought it really worked well. The dynamic between him, Hwang Hee-chan, and Son Heung-min looked like it could. The Bosnia and Herzegovina defence wasn't anything to
not really
shout home about tonight. But Lee Jae-sung played his part. He scored an absolutely beautiful goal, lovely chip over the goalkeeper, and he really showed his worth tonight. And I'm glad. I think he's an absolutely brilliant player. He probably deserves to be playing in more competitive leagues outside the K-League, but it'll be a sad day when he leaves these shores for sure.
Well, and that may be sooner than later, because I think there are going to be a lot of eyes on him in this tournament. And I suppose, do we want to put the Knights to bed and talk about other things, or you got anything else?
No. I still think they need to work out how to fully utilise Son Heung-min, but he has got a tendency to be greedy. He has got a tendency to show the pressure he has as a national team icon, as Korea's main goal scoring outlet. And he won't pass, or sometimes he'll make a decision to take a shot whether there's no chance of scoring. But he is still the most talented Korean player on that squad. Just a frustrating night all round. Yeah,
I think the final thing for me, even though I said I was ready to move on, the final thing for me is that there weren't many of them tonight, but something that I've been keeping an eye on for a couple of games now is that the set pieces for Korea need to be so much better. Because against the competition that they're going to be in Group F, again, Sweden, Mexico, and reigning champions Germany, you've got to be able to hit on those set pieces. And nothing even looks cohesive in that regard for Korea right now. And tonight was another night where they weren't able to create a lot from the flow of play, so you got to get your goals from somewhere. And if you're going to try to be better than the sum of your parts, which they're going to have to be certainly against Germany, and arguably against Sweden and Mexico as well, you've got to take those kind of chances, and that's something that they need to get into on the training pitch. But first they need to figure out how they're going to line up. So let's knock those dominoes down in order, I suppose. But to move on from tonight, which again was just a friendly, so it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna move on from it. It doesn't matter. Everybody was all sorts of high after the Honduras match, so now we're just back. We're back at even keel. That's what
I guess with no expectation comes no heartbreak.
Yep.
That's really the positive way of looking at this.
That's what we're going to run with.
But no, it is a friendly. The manager made some experimental changes, naively in my opinion, but
he made some changes.
It's done.
He could have made a few more changes, I think. The second half, the amount of time that went by before any substitutions were made was absurd.
I think the 65th minute, it was definitely over 65 when we first saw the substitutions, and they were like for like. He never
it was
changed.
Jung Sang-hyun for Yoon Young-soon and Ju Se-jung replacing Kuja Chol.
Yeah, so, and even later on, he made substitutions that never really changed the shape. So he's adamant that this shape can work. Well, anyway, that's. I think we said everything we can about.
If you want anything else about the formations, or you have your own 2 cents to put in, please comment below, and we'll touch on them. We'll touch on it again because who doesn't love? It's like we're at a Suwon Blue Wings game and we can't stop talking about a 3-man back line. But moving on to the roster overall, because the 23-man roster is going to be announced tomorrow. There are some cuts to be made. And this, before we get into who we think is going to be cut, which we are going to touch on, we were talking about this during the game, and this brings us back to Jeonbuk again. In all seriousness, how do you not call in Lee Dong-guk after Lee Gun-ho goes down with injury? Because there is not a plethora of attacking options on this squad right now. And I just don't understand. Tonight was a perfect game for him to come in. Tonight was how he's been scoring in Champions League. It's how he's been scoring in the league. Lee Dong-guk has World Cup experience. He's won at the highest levels internationally at the club level. I don't understand why you don't want that experience and that attacking option. He's a great locker room presence. He's going to be a cool head, and he's proving that he can score goals late in games. He would have been a great late substitution tonight. I don't understand why he's not there.
Well, the thing is, the argument would be he's had his chance, and he said himself, he agrees that he agreed with the manager that opportunities have to be given to the younger players. I think the problem I have with him not being in the squad is Yong Ki-hun and Lee Gun-ho were both touted for this squad on the basis of their experience.
Right.
So without their experience, surely you should be bringing in somebody else with experience, and that's the justification for Lee Chung-young, who came in, but
who's been not playing a ton.
Yeah, I think Lee Dong-guk could have worked well in this 28-man squad. I don't think he should have gone to Russia. I think yes, at some point you have to pass the baton on, and his moment with the national team has passed. But he is the joint top scorer in the K-League at the moment. He's doing it with minimal minutes, and
joint top Korean scorer.
Joint top Korean scorer in the K-League. I'll straighten that out a bit.
Yeah,
but he's doing it with minimal minutes, which is the most impressive thing. Nearly all of his goals have come from substitution appearances. I think he could have offered something in terms of this hallowed experience that we're saying that Yong Ki-hun, Lee Gun-ho, Lee Chung-young are offering. I think Lee Dong-guk could have also offered it in spades. Yeah. And I would have liked to have seen him in the 28-man squad. I would have probably raised my eyebrows a bit if he went any further than that.
Fair enough. But
he's scoring goals.
He is.
And if he had came in that 28-man squad and he scored goals in these two friendlies, then we'd be having a different discussion as well about that.
Correct. But he never had that option. The players, however, that did have that option, I think when it comes to who's going to be cut tomorrow, some of these decisions have already been made, but I think you and I have already agreed there's nobody in that attacking core that's going anywhere, because how can you cut somebody from the attack?
There's only 3 attackers left.
Yeah.
So before we get into this, let's just... so there's a 28-man squad. Obviously, we've talked about Kim Min-jae, Yong Ki-hun, who are all injured, but the thing is they were never in the 28-man squad. They were injured before they were announced.
Right.
So players who were injured after the squad announced was Kwon Chang-hun, which was heartbreaking because he's one of the most talented players in this Korean, would have been one of the most talented players in this Korean squad. Lee Gun-ho, who we've mentioned, was the experience that was supposed to be here. And it looks like Kim Jin-soo has said to the manager he probably won't be able to play in the World Cup. Now, if Kim Jin-soo... The manager has also said that if Kim Jin-soo is capable of just playing one game in the group game, he want to take Kim Jin-soo. I think that's naive again from the manager.
I just think that's
he
not
might just
great.
be... I think he's just talking a good game there.
That might just be being polite to the player, and let's hope that's what it is. Because if you think bringing someone on that hasn't played at the highest level domestically for 2 months in against Sweden, Mexico, or Germany is a good idea, then I might need to readjust that thinking.
Well, so if first of all, let's just assume if Kim Jin-soo is out, that would likely mean Kim Min-woo and Hong Chul are in the squad.
Yeah.
If Kim Jin-soo is in, it likely means Hong Chul, who's the third choice left back, will leave. So that's what we're working with at left back there.
Yeah.
So disregarding left back, there's still 2 places left to get this down to 23.
Yeah.
Now, the one I have... See, there's a couple I've picked. In midfield, you're going to have to take a midfielder, I think, in my opinion. There are too many central midfielders. The one I have opted for is Park Joo-ho, because actually Park Joo-ho is not a midfielder. He's originally a defender. He actually plays left back, something Korea seem to have in spades, but he's been playing in central midfield. But
he's
I think
bumped up there for Ulsan as well.
I think the thing is, there's no player. He's not better than any player in his position. So he's not the best left back. He's not the best central midfielder. He didn't play tonight. He only got substitute appearances in Honduras. That would indicate to me that the manager doesn't see him in his plans.
Yeah,
so
kind of tells you all you need to know there.
I'd say Park Joo-ho. And then the second one, Korea have a abundance of centre backs, possibly for a 3-5-2, let's say. Abundance of centre backs, but still use Ki Sung-young as the main centre back. I think it's either going to be Jeju United's Oh Ban-sok, who I think was partly responsible for the goals.
Looked pretty out of sorts tonight.
Yeah, but it wasn't him who came off first. It was actually Yoon Yong-sun from Songnam FC who came off first, which could also indicate, well, the manager might actually be trying to save him, fitness-wise, or he might be taking him off because he doesn't believe he's got it in him.
Well, the right side didn't look as bad tonight as the left side, but
they're the two.
Neither side was really locking things down.
So, me personally, I would remove a centre back. Now the issue with this is you've also got in midfield. You've also got Incheon's Moon Sun-min, sorry.
Yeah, Moon Sun-min
and Lee Chung-young.
I think. And there was a lovely spirited debate about Moon Sun-min on Twitter recently that love seeing it, love having these conversations. Personally, I don't rate him very highly. We've watched him a lot in the league, and I think in league play, I think he's an overly selfish player. His off the ball movement might be enough for this squad though, because his off the ball movement is fantastic. He is great off the ball. His first touch is usually into the stands, and his vision is not what you want it to be, and he takes a really long time on the ball. He's not very decisive. He's got a lot of things to work on. He's a raw talent, as has been pointed out quite a few times. If there were more options moving forward, he would be on my list to be cut. But because there aren't, I think he's on that plane.
Yeah, I think so too. Lee Chung-young as well, I think, sadly is going. I don't think he deserves to go. I don't think a player, and the same with Lee Sung-woo, but Lee Sung-woo has proved me wrong in that first fixture. Lee Chung-young, I thought was just okay in that first fixture.
There's more upside for Lee Sung-woo.
Yeah, Lee Sung-woo. It says a lot about.
This isn't his last World Cup.
It says a lot about his impact in that first game that he's not on my shortlist to be cut. And I was the one who rallied against him not being in the... I rallied against him personally about him not being in the team because I didn't think he would... I thought it was too soon, and I still think it's too soon. It's going to be... If Korea come home with nothing and get the abuse and the criticism that Korea supporters, Korean netizens are famous for, it's going to be a true test of Lee Sung-woo's character at such a young age to be barraged with such heavy weight of criticism.
Well,
but
luckily for him, though, he can get on a plane and not have to deal with Korean media for too long once he gets back.
But yeah, to get back onto the shortlist, I say Park Joo-ho will probably go. They're probably not go. Probably.
I'm gonna ask you a name here.
Yeah.
Is Ju Se-jung on that plane for you?
Only because he came on.
Okay.
I thought there was similar players that he wasn't better than, but the manager opted to bring him on in the second half. I think he's got a nice pass on him, Ju Se-jung.
Certainly.
He's always got a high pass completion rate usually, and I know he's playing in the second tier of Korean football this season, but he's
that's just for military duty.
Yeah, it's just for military duty. I think he's there.
Seoul did not want to get rid of him. They wanted to get rid of a lot of their other great players, but they didn't want to get rid of him.
I think he would be up with against Jung Woo Young, I think, in central midfielder. But I think both of them are fine, just because of the injuries. If there was no injuries, we can probably have this conversation. But I think Ju Se-jung goes.
Okay.
I think, for me, I'm going to opt for one of the centre-backs. And I think it's going to be Oh Ban-sok. I just did not rate him tonight.
I think he's been...
He's very good for Jeju.
He's been great for Jeju, but tonight was a disaster.
Yeah.
Just more so than the horrid lack of spatial awareness, which was certainly there. More so than that, just the lack of communication. That's got to be there from him. He's a man that captains his club side. He's not unfamiliar with being in a pressure role. He's got to take charge more. And if he can't do it tonight at home against Bosnia and Herzegovina, he's not going to do it in Russia.
Of the two, I think he's better than Yun Young Sun. But I just, of the performances in these two friendlies, I'd say Yun Young Sun has probably edged it over Oh Ban-sok. But that's just my opinion. I guess we'll see tomorrow when the squad is announced.
Yeah, K-League 2 faithful hold strong. Songnam FC going to be represented on the global stage there. So I think. To summarize it one more time, the five that I think we would agree that are going to be cut from the 28 to get it down to 23 are...
the three injured. Kwon Chang-hun is obviously cut, already he's not going. Lee Kun-ho is injured, not going. So that's 2 cut. Kim Jin-soo, I don't think is fit enough. He won't go. There's 3. Park Joo-ho, I don't think will go. As much as I like him at Ulsan, I just think there's people better than him in all the positions he can play.
Yeah.
I'm going for... I don't know. For me, I think one of the centre-backs has to go. On paper, it looks like Yun Young-sun. But I think Oh Ban-sok, for me, has... I'm going to risk it. Oh Ban-sok. But it could... He's the one I'm not sure on. And I'm willing to be wrong on that one.
Hopefully, for him and for JG United fans, he's had a stronger camp than he's had performances on the pitch in these friendlies. Because tonight was just not good. But moving on to the players that we do think will be there. Again, that's who we think is going to be cut tomorrow. We'll find out by this time tomorrow night. We'll know for sure. But that's who we think is going to be cut from the squad to get it down to 23. For those that will remain, which I think we agree is all of the attacking core, all of the goalkeepers, and probably all of the midfielders, who's the player that you're pegging to keep an eye on in the 2 upcoming friendlies that are going to be in the middle of the night here in Korea? But there are 2 more friendlies against Bolivia and against Senegal. Who's the player to keep an eye on for you?
Lee Jae-sung. Absolutely, Lee Jae-sung. His time in the K-League doesn't need to come to an end because I quite enjoy it, but this is his moment to shine.
Yeah. There's
no Kwon Chang-hun in the side, who I thought was going to be the spark in the midfield. Lee Sung-woo is too raw to be... I think he'll have some flashy moments, but I think it's too early for him. Lee Jae-sung has got the big game experience. He looks confident on the ball, and he's just an exceptional talent. And this is his moment to shine, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I think that he's also a dynamic player that Korea could use moving forward.
Yeah.
And as we talked about in the pregame, he's someone that's going to have a lot of eyes on him because that move to Europe has been pushed off for so long because of Champions League and because of the World Cup. And now I think after having won a Champions League title, he would be willing to forego this year's campaign to make that move to Europe after in the summer window.
Yeah.
So he's definitely one to keep an eye on. For me, just because I always kind of like to go to the back, Kim Sung-gyu in net is going to be an interesting one for me because he's a good keeper, but can he be great? And I think tonight, I would argue that these goals weren't his fault, but with the attacking prowess that's going to be coming at Korea, they need an absolute rock in net. And he can be, but I think he needs to prove that at this stage in these matches, because the back line is still unsettled. And this was tweeted out by the Tavern tonight that Bosnia and Herzegovina is another team coming in that hadn't scored a lot of goals before they came up against Korea, and they put 3 up on them tonight.
Yeah,
which again I think is down to a lack of defensive organization more than anything in net. But you're going to need a goalkeeper to bail you out of these situations, and I think he's going to be one to watch for the pure shot stopping aspect of things, but also he needs to organize that defense. He needs to be the one back there being loud, getting things organized. So I think it's going to be really interesting to watch that progression. And then, I mean, obviously the elephant in the room that we're not talking about is that Son Heung-min, he has to be the focal point here, and they need to figure out how to use him.
They do, but I also think Son Heung-min is going to be marked by every team that he comes up against. I mean, it's not an issue. He has that at Tottenham, but the thing is, at Tottenham, there's also the players like Harry Kane and Dele Alli to also mark. I think any team that Korea come up against, they're going to immediately go for Son Heung-min,
and why wouldn't they?
You're going to have to be. This is where the likes of Hwang Hee-chan and Lee Jae-sung have the opportunity to shine, because if you're putting all your attention on Son, there's space going to be created for the likes of Hwang Hee-chan and Lee Jae-sung, and they're both talented players. I think they could. This is their moment to use it. I think, maybe Son Heung-min's most beneficial contribution will be creating space for other players,
and they need to start taking advantage of that. And hopefully, we'll start seeing that soon in their friendly against Bolivia, which we're going to have coverage of that on the site soon. And after Honduras, it seemed like things were starting to come together, but tonight after Bosnia and Herzegovina, there are a lot of questions to be asked of this Korea side. They do have 2 more matches to figure it out, so hopefully they get that together. But the World Cup is coming up quite soon, so hopefully they can figure all that out. Yeah, speaking of the World Cup, to get you out of here, if you're around tomorrow, which is coming up in, just about over an hour here in Seoul time, we are going to be playing the new updated FIFA 18 with the World Cup patch. We're going to be playing that tomorrow at Retro Game Bar. I will be representing some unnamed country that I'll decide tomorrow. It's not going to be England. Because I want to win. But that's going on tomorrow, Retro Game Bar, if you want to join us for that. And speaking of Retro Game Bar, we will be there to kick off the World Cup. It'll be Sweden versus South Korea. And we're feeling very confident about that after tonight. Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting game. Definitely, it's going to be a really important game for Korea. But as we said in the pre-match video as well, there's going to be a mixture of Swedish and Korean fans.
Yeah.
So it'll be a nice back and forth atmosphere, and come and join and support the Korean side.
Yes, and if you are leaning towards wanting to go to that, we are giving away one of our Retro Game Bar kits for simply just sharing this graphic, which we'll put in the comments below as well. But we're giving away either our neon yellow to support Sweden, or this lovely red to support the Taeguk Warriors. So hopefully we can have a few more red shirts there that night. We'll see how it goes. And moving on in the group stage, we are going to be watching the Korea versus Mexico match over at the Upper Deck. We'll be watching that one. That one kicks off at midnight on a Saturday, so that should be 11. A pretty...
Kicks off at 11. No, it doesn't. Kicks off at midnight. It kicks off at midnight.
The party kicks off.
The party
kicks off at 11.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah. If you want to see Matt enjoying himself, be there by 11. But, that match kicks off at midnight, so that should be a pretty fun atmosphere for that one. Can't promise any post-game reactions at 2 a.m.
Probably for the best.
Probably for the best. But we'll be there if you want to come watch that one in person. And that's what's going on for now. Again, we will have the K-League coaches going to break down this match, and...
I'm looking forward to that. I look forward to all his pieces, but
in detail going into what went wrong. We'll have a couple of Bolivian experts talking about the Bolivian national team. We'll have We're going to be talking to Sandals for Go Posts to preview the Senegal match, and then obviously we'll be bringing some people in for the World Cup as well. So all sorts of things coming up, and hopefully a lot more positive things coming up soon.
Yeah, only ways up.
After tonight, that's very true. Just more Kim Chinook.
We all dream of a team of Kim Chinook.
We do indeed. Anyway, any questions, comments, reactions, or anything else about tonight's match or anything else regarding the Korean national team in the World Cup, get them in the comments, and we'll get into them in the next video, which is going to be coming up pretty soon. So that's it for us tonight. Matthew's going to shimmy up and turn off the camera very awkwardly, but thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
Good night.
Look at him go.